I'm Jack, host of the new comedic news and pop culture podcast, The Daily Zeitgeist from How Stuff Works. A little bit about me. I've listened to almost every episode of Stuff You Should Know and Stuff You Missed in History Class. I'm the co-founder and was the editor-in-chief of Cracked for the last 11 years. And our show is basically the day's news and pop culture filtered through a brain that contains all the information that entails.
And I'm Miles Gray, Jack's co-host, a former political operative and pop culture addict, like something I actually take medication for.
He does. And sometimes he's a bunch of different people, like Michael McDonald.
Tell him he's a stranger.
Japanese radio DJ.
Minasan ohayou gozaimasu, Midas desu.
And Making a Murderer's Brendan Dassey.
Yeah. No.
Just a fair warning, guys, you're going to learn a lot, but some of the content can get a little edgy, so not for young ears, but trust us, it's all in good fun. So go to Apple Podcasts and listen and subscribe to The Daily Zeitgeist. It's really good, is our catchphrase. We're still working on it.
Antonio Brown cannot get enough coverage, you guys, in sports. His story is crazy.
Well, what about it?
I mean, he's a homeless person in Miami at 16 years old. Homeless. The details of that time are sketchy, but he's like living in hotels. He's living in cars, probably doing some bad things to even be able to afford hotels. He doesn't like talking about that time in his life. Low draft pick, and now just totally unstoppable in that league. And when is that body type ever that unstoppable?
That's a great question. At that position, too, at wide receiver.
Mike is saying Jerry Rice, but Jerry Rice was 6'1". Jerry Rice was at least lanky.
He was lanky. I feel like Jerry Rice was like 6'1", 6'2", so you're right. How tall is Antonio Brown? 5'9"?
I feel like he's 5'10", and that might be stretching things. And so but that guy has 3 touchdowns last night, and again, right? He's got all the receiving. He's leading everybody in all the receiving categories again, right?
Yes.
That team's skill position talent, man. Like, how is it possible that no one can slow that person? I understand not being able to slow Terrell Owens, Randy Moss. I understand Julio Jones, A.J. Green.
The all-time player comparison for Antonio Brown is probably a contemporary in Odell Beckham Jr.
I've heard Roethlisberger say he's in phenomenal shape, and I've heard Roethlisberger say that he runs the best routes of any receiver he's ever had.
I mean, he must.
Yes.
He must, but phenomenal shape. Get out of here with that. Everybody on the field's in phenomenal shape. Odell Beckham, I think of as bigger. No? Odell Beckham's 5'10"?
Odell Beckham's only 5'11". Antonio Brown's listed as 5'10".
Huh.
It's weird, though, because I'm with you. Beckham seems like he's bigger.
I did not realize that Beckham was not 6 feet. I'm learning that right now.
So to go from homeless in South Florida to I guess you could say the best wide receiver in the NFL. Well,
and overlooked in the draft, like just a million, and like clearly wants to be a star. Is requesting that you please make him a star, but he's just a sports star. Like he's just someone. He wants to be bigger than just a sports star.
Right. Well, right now he's just a sport. I don't know if he'll ever cross over.
No, but you understand what I'm saying? Like the way that he dresses, the Dancing with the Stars stuff, he's super media available. Like he's always going up to Bristol to do interviews when someone of his star caliber doesn't really need to be doing that.
Right. They are a really good team, man. Just, they have the best running back in football, maybe the best wide receiver in football. Roethlisberger is still pretty good. He's not what he used to be, and Schuster's good, and Martavius Bryant's playing football. So
I know they're really good in that conference. I don't know how they stack up against like the rest of the league.
I mean, they're 8-2, Mike.
So, I know, but they're playing in that conference.
Doing that one.
Well, I mean, they're 8-2.
Are you doing record again? How did the Titans record work out for them last night?
Let me see some of their big wins
here.
You
were doing last night that the Titans were good at 6-3.
Yeah, well, now they're 6-4, and they're still pretty good.
Okay.
I've downgraded them from good to pretty good. But they've beaten some teams. I mean, listen, they've beaten some decent teams. They beat the Vikings 26-9. They beat the Ravens. They're not very good. They beat the Chiefs.
That was Case Keenum's maybe first start in place of Bradford.
Nobody's saying the Steelers aren't good, Stugotz.
I feel like you guys are saying that.
No, but it's just...
You don't know how good they are.
I think you're maybe overreacting to what last night is.
I was more interested in the larger conversation of Antonio Brown as a guy who is excellent and wants a little more attention. He's from Miami. Does anyone associate him with Miami? Does anyone in any way associate him with Miami? Does anyone remember the time in Miami? Did he come up through Luther Campbell's crew? Did he come up through the same place that Antonio Bryant came up through? Those LeBron James is now working on has put out a documentary series on Luther Campbell's Liberty City kids and how it is that they arrive in the league. But do people associate Antonio Brown with Miami? Because we're talking about an excellence that Miami has not birthed very often. Miami has not, Giancarlo Stanton wins the MVP yesterday. Miami has not done a lot of that. We have someone who's best in the world at something. And Antonio Brown, who are the guys that you associate? A-Rod before all the staining. Who are the guys? Mitch Richmond, Michael Irvin, the guys from Miami that you put in the class. I mean, you might be making an argument right now that Antonio Brown is from Miami and is more excellent at what he does than anyone in the history of our city. Like we're approaching that territory.
I mean, 110 catches, 129 catches, 136 catches, 106 catches, and he's got 70 already this season.
No, but this is what I'm saying, what I'm asking you guys, based off of last night's performance, where everyone knows you need to stop him and he still gets 3 touchdowns. And I understand Tennessee's defense is very good. But based off that performance, is Antonio Brown ever going to get the things that he wants? Because he wants to be famous. Like he wants to be something that is recognized for being bigger than the sport.
I don't think he'll get those things.
I mean, he was on Dancing with the Stars. He's a superstar within that sport because fantasy sort of transcends these guys. It takes them to another level.
Antonio Brown, no.
Dan, I think in that sport, the stuff you're talking about is reserved for the quarterbacks. I don't know, like Rodgers, Brady, those guys have absolutely crossed over to it. They have a different level of fame than I think Antonio Brown wants it. I don't think he'll ever achieve it.
So none of the other skill guys, you might be right about that in football because everyone's wearing face masks. There might not be anyone.
Maybe Gronk?
I mean, he is pretty marketed. He's a pitch man for several things. I see him all over social media ads.
No, but what I'm saying, Mike, is Antonio Brown very clearly wants this stuff. He wants to be on the Monday Night Football promo or the Sunday Night in America promo. He wants to be in the middle of everything. And while you're saying he's really marketed, what I would ask you is, if Antonio Brown were to walk into any restaurant in South Florida and just sit down, are many people recognizing him?
I think so. Not many people dress like that.
Yeah, he has that haircut, too, that looks like a Lego.
But, I mean, he wants the attention. What I'm saying is he very clearly wants the attention that comes with his excellence. And I think the sport sort of denies him it because I don't. Am I wrong when I say if Antonio Brown walks right now on Ocean Drive and sits down for breakfast in a restaurant that he might not a person might recognize him?
Yeah, I think you're wrong on that. I think he's one of the game's biggest stars.
No, so do I. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that you know what someone like that looks like.
I think he walks in and people know that he's somebody. They just don't know, like, hey, I'm not saying this is the case for every single restaurant, but I think a lot of restaurants down here, he walks in, they know he's someone, but they just can't pinpoint who he is. They start guessing.
He apparently went to FIU, but had an incident with a security guard and got kicked out before he played a game. Him and T.Y. Hilton would have been on the same team at FIU. That would have been crazy.
Instead, he went to Central Michigan, where J.J. Watt was a walk-on before he transferred to Wisconsin. So Butch Jones had Antonio Brown and J.J. Watt at the same time at Central Michigan.
Look at Guillermo back there dreaming.
Oh, my God, what could have been?
T.Y. Hilton and Antonio Brown.
Oh, it was such a fun time, and then, Mario Cristobal was a terrible coach and messed that up.
You want to talk about the Shula Bowl this week?
Oh, Dan,
it's a big one.
Big Shula Bowl. Time Oh, shut up, Chris. It's time to derail the lane train. Pause up, Dano. You going to go? Are you going to be there?
Hold on a second. Can I get you guys sort of freestyle battling over? Because Chris went to FAU, foul on the prowl.
Look at this owl pride he has here with this stupid orange shirt on.
Is it FAU better?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow.
That offense is lit.
We'll find out. You haven't watched a single game.
That's true.
I had to tell you how good your team was.
Yeah, but
That points per game, though.
Yeah. And FIU just lost to Old Dominion, who's terrible.
Trap game.
Oof.
Throw out the record books for the Shula Bowl, Dan. That's what they always say.
Hoot hoot.
Speaking of trap games, isn't Virginia a trap game? Or is that just a letdown game? Are those two different
It's
things?
a letdown game.
Yeah, it's a letdown
After
game.
two big games, prime time, this
Is
is a
Pittsburgh
letdown
a
game.
trap game?
No, it's a look ahead.
I thought that was a trap game.
No, that's a look-ahead game,
I
not
think.
a trap
Wait a
game.
minute. I think Virginia's
Trap
a trap
games
game.
have to be in
No,
between two
I
big
think,
games.
Hold on a second. I think Virginia's a trap game.
No, it's
No, it's definitely a letdown game.
Yeah.
The next one is a trap game.
I don't think the next one's a trap game.
I don't think it's a trap game
Yeah,
either.
I think it's a look-ahead game.
I'm going to think Pittsburgh
Yeah.
wants to be in that game less than we do.
Right. I mean, Pittsburgh just wants to go home for the holidays.
I
That's
will.
it, yeah.
I'm going to entrench myself in this position. This Virginia game is a trap game.
I was really worried about this Virginia game because a noon start after back-to-back home primetime games. That's a bit of a change up for this team that is finally punching above its weight class and playing its best football. But apparently, this game is near or actually a sellout. Yeah.
Wow.
For a noon start. That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Mark Richt said the other day that there were fewer than 1,000 tickets remaining.
You have to be trapped for it to be a trap game. The trap game has to come in between two big games. After you play two big games back-to-back, the next game against a lesser opponent is a letdown game. That's what I'm telling you.
This
is my
100%.
language,
He
man.
wrote the book.
Yes.
I understand that he wrote the language, but what I'm alleging is that the trap game and the letdown game are very similar. They're almost synonyms.
No.
And I'm
Trap
telling you,
game,
you're wrong. Yeah.
Trap game
Yeah.
needs to be sandwiched.
Yeah.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Are the trap game and the letdown game synonyms? Synonyms and friends. Are they friends?
Have you ever stepped in a bear trap?
Yeah. Have you?
No.
You know how you get trapped in a bear trap? You step in the middle, and then the sides come and grab your leg.
It's not a bear trap game.
Right, but it's a trap game.
Right.
When you have a good opponent on one side and another good opponent on the other side, and guess what? Pitt is in the middle.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying Pitt is a trap game because it's not, because Virginia is not a good
Why
team.
can't this be a trap game between the ACC championship game and the last two games?
Because there's
played?
another
Because it's
game
not in the
between that and the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
And Pitt, it doesn't have the sharp teeth as a bear trap does.
Right. Now, you might worry about Pitt as a look-ahead game because the Canes' focus might be on Clemson for the
so
ACC
look-ahead.
championship.
Total
Yeah.
look-ahead
Yeah,
spot.
look-ahead spot.
So are there any trap games left on the schedule? Like if they make it into
No, they're
the
making
Final
no,
Four?
they're making it a situation where they won't allow for a trap game the
No,
rest of the way.
there are no more trap games.
Right.
And I disagree. That's what
This
I
is
disagree
it.
with.
There is a letdown game left. There is a look-ahead game left, and then there are just big games left.
Potentially a trap game is that college football playoff semifinal.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Sandwich in between the
wait a
Clemson
minute.
game
yeah,
and the
national
national
championship.
championship
Yeah.
game.
Trap
Wait a
game.
I want you guys to embrace, all right, the way Stugatz delivered, okay, with one hand, all right? He had one hand extended like an old-style waiter carrying a tray,
Serving it up.
okay? And then the other hand went up just the same way. So he had both hands up as if he were carrying trays, and he's like, and then you just have big games. Just big games. And he was like excited, and he was moving his hands back and forth, and he was just dreaming of big games. You have trap games and letdown games and look ahead games, and he just held up a monument of big games with his two hands and all his sausage fingers.
However you want to label Saturday's game, it seems as though Dan's once again down in the Miami Hurricane.
No. Don't put that on me. Do not put that on me. Virginia by 3.
Whoa! Hi, everyone. Stugatz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugatz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugatz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Don Batard.
Touchdown Miami's Aquarium Lolita. Come see Flipper. Come see Lolita swim in a bathtub.
Stugats.
Come see sharks, possibly drugs, swimming in green water. Spend $5 on a wax figure that you'll regret as soon as you get home.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on the ticket.
A tweeter writes in. You can tweet the show at Le Batard Show. Tweeter writes in. Dan keeps asking questions, gets answers to his questions, proceeds to say no, and then asks the same question.
You don't get the show.
If that's about trap games, sir, like that's a fair criticism in general of me.
Yeah.
But it can't be about that ridiculous trap games conversation we were just having where that was clearly a joke.
Might have been, I think it was referencing Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
What was the question I kept asking on Antonio Brown?
All of them.
Yeah. Is he a star?
Yeah.
Would he be recognized? I think you were fishing for an answer you weren't getting.
Yeah.
Put it up on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Would Antonio Brown be bothered during dinner a lot having dinner on South Beach?
I don't think so. I don't. I agree with you. I don't think so. I mean, these guys do, but I happen to be with you on this one. I wouldn't know it's Antonio Brown, right? I would be in a restaurant and I'd look over, and I always do, to see if there's any famous people around so I can go up and ask him for an autograph and give him some hot takes. And I did it with Brandon Marshall in California one time. But I would not recognize Antonio Brown.
So you wouldn't bother him if someone said, hey, that's Antonio Brown. All you need is one person to recognize him, and then your ass is over there at that table asking for a selfie.
Probably. I'm just saying I wouldn't be the person that would recognize him. That's all I'm saying.
I just, the part that I find interesting is that greatness in that sport of the fame is harder to come by because you're wearing face masks than because of what you said previously about only the quarterbacks are allowed to be these stars that your wife knows. Like, really, that's, when I'm talking about transcendence, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your wife who doesn't know sports, your wife who doesn't care about sports. She also knows who Cam Newton is. She also knows who Peyton Manning is, who Tom Brady is, maybe even Ben Roethlisberger.
My wife knows who Jay Cutler is.
So I'm talking about wives who don't know sports. Do they know Antonio Brown? And the answer to that is no, and I think he wants that.
You don't think he achieved that with Dancing with the Stars, though? It's massive. Maybe. Just because we don't watch Dancing with the Stars doesn't mean it's not massive.
Yeah, maybe. There are just a lot of people on Dancing with the Stars. There have been a lot. I mean, Kenny Mayne was on Dancing with the Stars, too. Did Antonio Brown win Dancing with the Stars, or he finished second, or
Hell
win?
If I know. Let me check. I know Donald Drivers had this whole career post-football just based off of Dancing with the Stars fame.
I actually think Odell, if you're going to go non-quarterback, is probably Odell and Gronk, probably the guys right now.
I think the number one non-quarterback is probably J.J. Watt.
Oh, yeah.
But Beckham's pretty good. My point being, though, that Antonio Brown has been, in terms of numbers, what everyone thinks Odell Beckham is. Odell Beckham has been that for a season and a half. Antonio Brown has been that for 5 years running now.
AB made it to week 9, got burned by the double elimination.
So let me ask you about this, Stugats. Have you seen this new Don Van Natta, Seth Wickersham article in ESPN, the magazine, about the heights that this Goodell, Jerry Jones fight has reached?
I have not, no.
Okay. Here is a quote that Jerry Jones, this is from that story, and is a quote Jerry Jones delivered to Roger Goodell by speakerphone when Roger Goodell told him that Ezekiel Elliott was going to be suspended for 6 games.
Okay.
And this is after, keep in mind, this is after these guys, what's basically happening here is Roger Goodell is Mike Ryan and Jerry Jones is me. What's basically happening here. And Roger Goodell is done with, hey, we're a team. Now you and me are going to fight over this power. Goodell and Jerry Jones are going to fight over who's in charge. Because Jerry Jones, it wasn't that long ago, according to this story, he's walking through a hotel lobby with a cocktail. And another owner says, there's our shadow commissioner. Or Roger is simply the puppet commissioner. Right. Another owner said that as Jerry was walking through the bar with a drink. Jerry thinks he got Roger Goodell that job. Jerry thinks that he pushed that through. Goodell thinks he got Jerry that stadium because he pushed that through.
Sure.
There are stories in there of Jones begging for loan money that Goodell pushed through to get that stadium, begging the other owners for loan money. So anyways, here is what Jerry Jones, according to Don Van Natta and Seth Wickersham, said over the speakerphone to Roger Goodell when Roger Goodell told him Ezekiel Elliott is going to be suspended for 6 games.
Okay.
Quote, I'm going to come after you with everything I have. Then he mentioned Deflategate and said, quote, if you think Bob Kraft came after you hard, Bob Kraft is a female genitalia compared to what I'm going to do to you.
It's getting good.
This is great. All of this. I was sick of this Ezekiel Elliott story.
Yeah.
I'm glad it took this pivot.
Yes.
I mean, are you bleeping kidding me?
It's awesome.
Jerry Jones, this is at the height of ego and power. This is what money and power looked like. He's always thought that Roger Goodell is too heavy-handed with these punishments. A week before the punishment, a week before it, Goodell was at Jerry Jones's Hall of Fame ceremony, according to this story. And he knew he had to suspend Ezekiel, but he delayed telling him because he didn't want to ruin that night because he knew that was coming.
Wow. He knew the response he was going to get.
Yes. He said, but the story begins with there was a pause on the other end of the line. Roger delivers the news. Ezekiel Elliott is out 6 games. There's a pause on the other end of the line. And I got to think, man, I mean, there are 2 people who know what happened in that conversation. That's got to be Jerry Jones giving that story up. Like,
even though it makes him look terrible?
Man.
In his eyes, he probably thinks he comes off like a badass.
No, I don't think Jerry thinks that makes him look terrible. Man, that story could only come from one of 2 people.
Yeah.
That story has to come from either Goodell and Jerry Jones. And while I don't know this, I always sort of tie roots on these things. Don Van Natta got more access to Jerry Jones than any reporter ever has for a profile story. Jerry Jones welcomed him into his life. And so I assume that anything written from, and this is, Don Van Natta's got a lot of sources. So this could be an incorrect assumption by me. I can totally be wrong about this, but I assume when stuff like this breaks, that's how it's breaking. That Jerry Jones is feeding that information to people because there are only 2 people who know about that conversation as it happens. I got to think.
Right.
Yeah, with all his stories, I've also sort of made that assumption. It wouldn't be beyond Jerry Jones to think that this is a flattering story on him when it's the exact opposite. That's when I'm trying to figure out where this comes from. I'm like, somebody has a big problem with Jerry Jones because he looks like a butthole here.
But I could see it both ways. I could see Jerry thinking that, yeah, this is a flattering story. This is cool. People are going to think I'm a tough guy. But I could also see Goodell thinking this is going to make Jerry look really bad.
Okay, but here are these sensibilities I would say that Jerry Jones has that are different than ours. I didn't think the last profile of Jerry Jones was a flattering one, but he did.
Right.
I read it and I'm like, ooh. But Jerry's just, he's a big cowboy. He's 75 and he gives 0 bleeps. And so the idea of him at war with the commissioner in the commissioner's office, that must feel like fun to him. Like it's been a while. Like that's an old businessman. That guy has been fat off his riches in terms of getting in the game with a good fight for a long time.
Sure.
Like when's the last time that guy had to have a brawl with a peer, right? Where he was fighting a peer over something.
You're right. Like, let's mess with someone. This feels good. I'm going to mess with Roger Goodell.
I'm guessing Jerry looks at all this and like, man, I feel alive. Everybody's looking at me. I knelt before that flag came down in the middle of Jerry's world. Nobody's talking about these loans I needed.
Yeah, you've swayed me. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just an old cowboy before he goes off into pasture. Like, oh, let me just get one more fight in the saloon. One more fight in the saloon. I'm going to throw a mug at the piano man and come get some, Roger. I'm going to come after you. with everything I have. If you think Bob Kraft came after you hard, Bob Kraft is a P word compared to what I'm going to do. That's crazy.
Now I think the story's coming from Bob Kraft.
You want to hear? You want to
funny.
You want to hear? You want to hear a funny story? Yesterday on the show, we couldn't do it, but it's on the television show. We were laughing harder, I think, than we've laughed in 3 or 4 months. And I don't think it aired because our producer's a coward.
Oh.
But my father said, "Hey, you guys," because my father broke this story, not Don Van Natta, Seth Wickersham. My father broke this story yesterday, and the producers wouldn't air it. My father said, "Do you guys want to see my Jerry Jones impersonation?" And so we were like, "Yes, Poppy, of course." And so he just grabbed the side of his face, and he froze a smile on his face, and he just threw like gritted teeth. None of this aired, I don't think, but we were roaring with laughter. Through gritted teeth, he's like, "I'm going to get you, Jerry."
For Roger.
Roger.
Oh,
that's
bleep me.
fun.
Bleep me!
You can always count on Bud Light, just like you can always count on Tailgate Terry. Without Tailgate Terry, you wouldn't have cold Bud Lights and 7-layer dip at every pregame. That's 56 layers per season. Just the right amount if you ask Terry. Tailgate Terry is famous among friends. He deserves a Bud Light. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, 80 St. Louis, Missouri.
Don Le Batard.
God, what a game! Definitively know who's better.
Wait a minute, what's that music?
I'm not sure.
It's happy music.
It's a happy piano. Like, what just happened back there?
Someone fire off a spot or something?
Stugats.
Wait a minute.
Wait, hang on. I got another browser open. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's an ad for cookies. I gotta get is there Mozilla? Firefox. Deny pop-up block.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on the ticket.
Man, I am getting crushed here via text. I deserve all of it. Great delivery, Le Batard. And many of you are writing that facelift joke did air on television. We were arguing about it, and I didn't think I was going to win that argument. I thought I was going to lose that argument.
Apologize to your producer.
Yes,
Called him a coward.
I'm not sure if he knows that it aired. I think there might have been some anarchy among the young people that aired it when he wasn't looking. So I've got to figure out what happened there.
Will he be mad?
I don't know. I've got to figure out. I'm sort of scared of everything that's now happened because I appear to have won that fight and didn't know I had won it. And now I'm not sure if he knows that was put on the air, or if the young people on our show just totally, I think we need to start doing that around here, because I feel the allegiances of Billy and Roy and Chris and Allison are to Mike. But I feel like people need to start circumventing Mike now first so that I can have small victories. What happened?
No, man. You're the boss, man.
You are the boss.
You are the boss. There is no confusion here.
No, but I'm just talking about, I'm talking about stuff like that.
You're upset people don't narc?
No, it's not. I'm upset that people don't narc. It's I lose fights around here all the time. Creative fights. We all do.
Well, you trust the people making those decisions. Mike is making the final decision.
We all do, though. We all do. I don't win all the creative fights. In fact, I would say I lose half of the fights around here when I'm like, I want something and it gets vetoed.
Yeah. You've empowered us, thankfully, to use our better judgment.
And so what I'm saying, though, is when I have a disagreement with you, usually you end up on the right side of that creative disagreement. Very rarely do I ever say to you, okay, let's do what I want. If you say no, it ends up being no. But what I'm saying is I want uprisings now where Chris and Roy and Allison and Guillermo just air things that I wanted that you had vetoed. That's what I was saying.
I'm not down for that. That doesn't sound
I imagine
like
you wouldn't be. I imagine that you would be.
A little control away from Mike.
Yes, I imagine that would be very uncomfortable for you. And I think that's what happened on Highly Questionable yesterday.
You're never thrilled when there's insubordinate behavior being encouraged by a superior.
That's right. I'm encouraging it. Make it official.
Really? That's dangerous, man.
I mean, it's not. It's going the way that it would happen.
You have no idea how many bad ideas I have.
I know, but the way that it would happen is Mike would veto it. It would get on the air, and then we'd all be staring at Mike as he lost that creative battle. Because it's not something that would happen the way Highly Questionable happened, where I didn't know whether it had aired. Eric might not yet know that it aired or didn't air.
Sure.
Right here, it all happens in real time.
Right.
I'm all for it. Let's try it next week.
Starting next week.
Where somebody just throws something on the air that was my idea that Mike vetoed that gets thrown on the air, and then we all just stare at Mike as it slowly either succeeds or fails, and Mike could then be like the producer who was correct or the producer who was incorrect.
So if you have a good idea moving forward here, starting next week, just send them to everyone on a group text but Mike. You cannot include Mike on that text. Mike needs to be surprised by whatever idea it is that we trot out there.
But here's the thing, though. We need to be careful with some of that stuff, because something that happened very clearly last week is that your ambition merged with Billy's frenetic editing during the show ended up in a 30 for 30 that had too much fat in it because you guys just threw it on the air without editing. And so it hadn't run through all the layers of creative filter here.
Correct.
And that's the danger. If taking less power from Mike is giving more power to Stugatz, and I think that's a bad idea.
All right, take me out of the equation. Just empower Chris and Roy and Guillermo and Allison. So don't even text me. Text them ideas, not me, not Mike. I'm staying out of this.
Mike, do you realize that the Roger Goodell, Jerry Jones fight is between you and me?
Well, who am I in this?
You're Goodell.
I'm Goodell? Yeah. Oh, yeah, total figurehead.
No, but I don't mean figurehead. I just mean powerful figure who
Shield
is the representative for the show, is the protector of the Shield, is the one entrusted with that power. And now what's happened with Roger Goodell is bring it, big boy. Go ahead, bring it, Jerry. You're going to bring a fight? Okay, bring it.
Yeah. Where Jerry's the actual puppet master and the shadow commissioner.
That's right.
Yeah.
Walking through the lobby with a drink.
Johnny Walker Blue.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wow, yeah, but
it is. It's us.
It is.
Now, imagine,
Mike and Dan.
imagine now, Mike. Now imagine, okay? Because it's all the same stuff, right? Like I could sit here and say, no, I built this stadium, and you could sit here and say, no, I kind of got you that stadium, and I could say to you, I got you that job, and you'd be like, no, I kind of earned that job, which is what Roger Goodell has got to be saying. Jerry Jones is saying, I got you that job. Roger Goodell is saying, no, I earned this job. Roger Goodell is saying to Jerry Jones, I helped get you that stadium. Jerry Jones is saying, no, it's Jerry's world. I built that stadium. And then, now I want you to imagine, Mike, me picking up the phone, because you've called me, Dan, one of your creative ideas isn't going to work. I'm going to get you, Mike.
So not intimidating. I mean, Jerry did it so much better.
Jerry's probably a lot better at that. You're going to get me? At what point do I ask for $50 million in a private plane?
Health benefits for life.
Yeah.
I'd laugh at you and hang up the phone. Go for it.
I'm going to get you.
I can't even picture you saying that.
Right? Nobody can picture me
Would
saying
you
that.
say it like that?
Oh, yes. It would have
You
to be
have
in
so
the most
little experience saying something like that.
It would have to be in the most cartoonish way possible. Yes. I'm going to get you.
Like Kyle Vandenbosch, like the Aaron Rodgers fake Kyle Vandenbosch. I'm going to kill you.
Do you guys play that sound? Play that sound of Aaron Rodgers. But
that's great.
I don't think I can't even imagine myself enraged. Angry, yes. Enraged, because that's what Jerry Jones had to be, right? You have to be enraged if you are threatening Roger Goodell with "wait till you see what I do to you."
Yeah, you have to. Of course, you have to be enraged.
Like, you've seen me angry. What I'm saying is, You've seen me angry. Have you ever seen me angry enough to threaten you?
No.
To like cut you with like purposely? That's rage.
That's rage. That's also, I mean, that's not your makeup. And for many people, it's not their makeup. But when you're a billionaire and you're used to getting exactly what it is that you want, that is your makeup. Yes.
I'm going to
I'm going to come at you with everything that I have. Yep.
All right, let's listen to Aaron Rodgers telling the story of Kyle Vanden Bosch.
Kyle was a very good player for a number of years. He used to wear red contacts, which was he didn't need because he was already teetered on the edge of insanity. So I remember, one time he got me, and he was kind of, he wasn't getting off me. He's like, "I got you good." I'm like, "You hit me in the head, though." He goes, "No way." I was like, "No, I think it's going to be a penalty." He goes, "No." I got you. Also, another play involving him, we ran a 7-man protection. He looped from his end, and our fullback kind of blasted him a little bit. He wasn't looking, so Kyle thought it was a cheap shot. And instead of getting up and chasing the play down, he chased the fullback down and ended up running a route out to the right. And was like, "I'll kill you. I'm going to kill you."
That is you.
I love that story so much, and not just because I love him.
What's the date again?
December 17th, he might be able to return by. December 17th, the day after my birthday, the greatest birthday gift ever.
Well, you got to keep hoping for John Fox's of the world to screw up games against the Packers so he can actually come back, because it might be meaningless for him to come back considering how good that NFC is.
But he was at practice yesterday.
Yeah?
Throwing towels.
Did you see how frustrated he was on the sidelines watching some of their clock management? I think Brett Hundley got confused what the play clock was and the game clock was, and he called the timeout when there was 7 seconds left on the play clock, and you could see he was killing Aaron Rodgers on the inside, killing him.
Funny.
He didn't do a good job of hiding it. I'm sure he probably had someone talk to him afterwards.
I want to ask you guys a couple of things. Are we going to do Allison's picks? I feel like she's hiding from everybody. Are we doing Allison's picks?
We're trying to force her. She went 6-3.
All right, Allison, you were 6-3 against the spread last week. Allison was 6-3 against the spread. Let's do Allison Turner's reluctant picks here.
Nice.
We're going to do that real quick here. She doesn't want to do this at all. She hates being at the microphone. She hates our show. She doesn't like any of us. She just referred to Billy as a producer.
This is another one of those birthday things, because she was complaining about how much she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it. She's like, "Did you put UMass on the list?" And she's like, "I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it."
Listen, revisionist history with the birthday thing. He's completely made up his own version of what happened there. Just saying.
Okay, because he's a producer.
Yeah.
And now, it is time for Allison Turner to drop some football knowledge on your ass.
Did you say 6-3 last week?
Yes, against the spread, 6-3.
I gotta write these down.
Virginia at Miami. Miami minus 19. Allison Turner, who you got?
I'm going to take Miami.
All right.
Wow, nice.
Michigan at Wisconsin. Wisconsin minus 10. Who you got?
I'm going to take Michigan.
Yeah.
Whoa.
UAB at Florida. Florida minus 10.5. Who you got?
I'm going to take UAB.
Why?
Okay, all right. Oh, okay, I'm good with that. Yeah, I like that.
The best team in the state, UCF at Temple.
Of course I'm taking Temple.
Yeah, home dog.
Nice.
Home dog in Philly, of course.
Yep.
Marshall at, wow, this is a weird one, University of Texas San Antonio, Larry Coker Pick'em.
I'm taking Marshall.
He's not there anymore?
Nice, gone.
I've been gone for several years.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Thank you. I heard you. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you know that Larry Coker was no longer at UTSA?
There's a lot of people who didn't know he was there to begin with.
Right, okay. UMass at BYU. Why is the Marshall at UTSA one of our games? UMass at
Because
BYU.
Billy's a jerk.
Okay.
I can't even believe you would ask
All right,
that.
UMass. He's a producer. That's right. UMass at BYU. Who you got?
I'll take UMass.
BYU is a minus 4.5. Nebraska at Penn State. Penn State minus 26. Who you got? Really?
I mean, really, I don't know. Do you know how much college football I watch? Are you aware? I hate everyone in this room.
You're going to really think about it?
Penn State, Dan.
All right.
UCLA at USC. USC minus 16. Who you got?
I'll take UCLA. I'm going to get crushed.
Shula Bowl. FIU. That's the spirit.
Oh, it's a biggie.
FIU at FAU. How?
I'm going to take FAU.
Okay.
F-A what? F what?
FAU.
Am I done here?
That's AFU to Billy Gill. FAU is who she's picking. Yes, 14.5 point favorite.
All right.
Lane Kiffin, 2 touchdowns. Favorite.
That's a big line for a rivalry game, no?
Yep.
Lane train.
You think of what I'm thinking, boys?
What's that?
Action junkie play.
Uh-oh.
Is Lane Kiffin going to be out of there after this year?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep, he's gone. Yep.
Because of sanctions.
I mean, they are scoring all over the place. FAU might be the best team in the state.
Not a terrible point. Not a terrible point.
Do the Canes have to win the national championship for them to be the best team in the state?
Yeah.
No, they will still. They'll be the best team in the nation, but the third best team in the state.
It depends what happens to UCF. Like, I could see UCF getting bleeped here, being undefeated at the end of the season, and they don't get a chance at the Final Four. And I will forever be able to argue that UCF was better than Miami because they didn't play in any of the games. I'm real worried about this South Florida game coming up.
Right.
Maybe I should be worried about this Temple game because that seems like a small line to me, given what I've seen UCF do to people.
Yeah, you went against Allison there.
Allison is taking. That seemed like a small line. Temple's been terrible this year. Has their quarterback play gotten any better? Because one of the games I saw this year, Temple had the worst quarterback play I've seen all year. I don't know.
How would anyone know that?
Roy, how's Temple's quarterback play been lately?
It's been mediocre at best.
Okay, thank you. Good analysis. Billy, are you excited about Giancarlo Stanton winning the MVP?
Yeah, man. Well, it's bittersweet. I'm really excited, but it just seems like we're going to be the team that traded Cabrera and Stanton, like, in their prime. And it's sad. Like, it's depressing. And I wonder if this idiot has called Stanton yet to congratulate him.
There's no way.
Right?
Nope. Did not call.
What's his deal? He's just jealous of him?
Guillermo, I did the Michael Kay show yesterday, and they were really baffled by the idea that South Florida would have any skepticism as it would pertain to Derek Jeter.
Yeah, because they're stupid New Yorkers that worship everything that he does.
He is such a hero in that city that Michael Kay and Don LaGreca were just hammering me. Like, they really didn't understand why there might be some skepticism in South Florida about a guy who's cutting payroll.
Why would they, though? Like, why would they understand that? I mean, they lived in a city, and Michael Kay is calling games for a team that spends $200 million every year, and Jeter's done nothing but good.
I mean, the Mets, they have the Mets in town. The Mets have been doing it on the cheap here for a little while.
Did you think that was going to Oh, Michael Kay says I shouldn't be skeptical. Okay, Dan.
No. What I'm saying to you is that, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to move you off your position with the weight of Michael Kay's opinion. No, that's not what I was trying to do.
What did LaGreca say?
I'm just saying that there's some real...
Did I hear that correctly?
Oh, for the love of God.
I'm taking shots at Don.
I mean, that's not right. What you guys just did to Don LaGreca is not right.
That's Roy's joke.
I really do feel like I am... It's not going to buy me anything, but I do have a little joy about the fact that in 2017... the only place that you're allowed to shame anyone anymore is fat guy. Like, it's not going to buy me anything when I get into one of my own scandals.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, that is the one place. You can't do it to women. You can't do it. Like, I am fat, bald guy too. Fat guy and bald guy. Those are the only two guys in 2017 you can hammer.